Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are putting on our scrubs and performing a full forensic autopsy on one of the weirdest, wildest rumors of the entire 2025 financial cycle. It's a story that was born from the ashes of a crypto market that, well, it just completely broke its promises.
I mean, that sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? But you have to understand, in the, let's call them the fever swamps of crypto Twitter, this became a widely accepted theory. The idea that a whole market's destiny didn't depend on macroeconomics, but on the fragile ego of one single guy. So yeah, let's dive into this.
You know, this was a story that was whispered on Telegram, on Discord, all over the internet, while investors just watched their portfolios get absolutely torched, even as Bitcoin was soaring to new highs. And to really get why anyone would even begin to believe this, we have to first understand the sacred promise that got broken.
All right, so for years, the crypto market operated on this unwritten rule. You could almost call it a sacred promise, right? It was this predictable, almost religious cycle of wealth creation that a lot of people felt like they were owed.
And look, this wasn't just some chart pattern people noticed. Oh no. For a whole lot of folks, this was a deeply held belief. It was a core tenet of the crypto faith. The deal was, you hold your bags through the brutal, painful winter, and in the spring, you get rewarded with a massive, life-changing pump.
So this is basically how it was supposed to work. This perfect, predictable flow of money. It was this tide that was supposed to lift all the boats, from the really serious projects all the way down to the absolute silliest meme tokens. But in the 2024-2025 cycle, that tide just never came in.
And man, the market got so close. So an index score of 75, that's what officially signals alt season. And in late 2024, it peaked at 68. I mean, people were holding their breath. The moon suits were on and ready to go.
And then just a complete and utter collapse. The promise was shattered. The rocket never even left the launch pad. All that was left was the statistical graveyard and a whole community that was just desperate for answers.
And this data right here, this shows you the massive disconnect that basically drove everyone mad. Bitcoin dominance was supposed to go down, but it went up. Liquidity was supposed to flow into altcoins, but nope, it went into institutional ETFs instead. The whole machine was broken. And when the gains disappear, people need a villain.
So, this need for a villain brings us to our prime suspect. The community needed to find someone who had the power to push the big, shiny alt season button, but was just refusing to do it. Out of pure spite. And this dual role he played is absolutely crucial to understanding this whole thing. See, a faceless corporate CEO, that wouldn't inspire this kind of story. But ZZ's active, almost fatherly presence on social media, it made the whole rumor feel kind of plausible to people who were desperate and losing everything.
So what they did was fuse together all these completely unrelated data points, using collective anger as the glue. Suddenly, his totally responsible advice against gambling, that was seen as a punishment. Every cryptic tweet, it wasn't just a tweet anymore, it was a clue.
Okay, so this single tweet, this thing became like the Zapruder film of the 2025 cycle. At first, everyone saw it as a sign of hope. He's signaling the rotation's coming. But when the market completely fell apart, oh boy, did the interpretation change dramatically.
And this quote just brilliantly captures that shift in thinking. The tweet wasn't a promise anymore. It was a taunt. And the reason he wouldn't press the key? It was simple, apparently. We were all being mean to him. But was that really the story?
So here's the crucial point. That rumor, it's a ghost story. Yeah, it's a compelling one, but it's not real. So now, let's look at the actual autopsy report. Let's uncover the real, cold, impersonal forces that actually killed alt season. Okay, so the first killer wasn't a person at all. It was a phenomenon, this tidal wave of thousands, and I mean thousands of totally worthless tokens that basically just sucked all the life out of the market.
And this is a really critical distinction to make. Think about it. In 2021, you had a couple of big standout meme coins. By 2025, you had a full-blown factory pumping them out. It meant that every single dollar that came into the market got spread so thin across this ocean of garbage that it couldn't possibly create a real sustainable rally in any of the legitimate projects.
That quote really just nails it, doesn't it? The very thing that was supposed to be the final happy, euphoric stage of the bull run was actually the cancer that was killing the whole thing from the inside. But there was another even bigger killer at play.
Yep, the very institutions that crypto used to rail against, they had finally shown up to the party. And guess what? They didn't play by the old degen rules. They didn't just play the game, they changed the game entirely.
I mean, this chart really just says it all. All that capital from the brand new Bitcoin ETFs, the ones owned by players like BlackRock, it stayed right there in Bitcoin. This institutional money had zero interest in rotating into some coin named after a dog. The old trickle-down model of crypto, it was officially broken.
And with that bridge from Bitcoin to the altcoin market completely burned to the ground, well, it created two totally different, totally incompatible ways of seeing what was happening. So why? Why did the comforting little story about being in the nursery win out over the brutal, ugly reality of the slaughterhouse? Why would people rather believe they were just misbehaving children instead of, well, the product that was being sold?
Well, we've reached our verdict. All the evidence is in, and the conclusion, it's pretty clear. The rumor kept going, not because it was true, but because, psychologically, it was just useful.
Let's be honest. It's so much easier to say, the principal shut down the dance because the class clown got us in trouble, than it is to admit, I bought the absolute top of a dying market. So what's the big takeaway from all this?
See, the market doesn't have any feelings, but you do. And this whole bizarre rumor, it reveals this deep, almost desperate human need we have to create stories, just to make sense of a cold, indifferent, and fundamentally changed financial world. A world where maybe you're no longer the guest of honor at the party, but you're just the exit liquidity.